I'm Denise. I'm a compulsive eater. I weigh and measure my 3 meals from the grey sheet. I write them down, commit them to my sponsor. Don't eat no matter what. Abstinence is the most important thing for me today, without exception. And I've been abstinent. I've been back abstinent since May the 5th, 2020. And I am grateful for every single day of the 9+ months that I'm back. And, relapsing during COVID times was not the best move I'd ever made in my life. After having a good number of years abstinent, I feel really nervous today, which I don't usually, but I do today. I feel really, really nervous, and I just need to settle into the meeting. I've had just the start of my day today, just to reflect on my day. Over here, it's 4 o'clock in the UK, and I got up early and I went out with my daughter and I did my 11,000 steps because I'm trying to get moving, because I have some weight to lose, and I don't want to reduce my food anymore. So get out there and get moving. She was on her bike and we went all across the fields, and then we went around the roads, and I stopped in a shop and got her something, came out, she had that and a little drink, and then we came back, and then I've been in the garden all day. And you know what, coming in before the meeting, I was reflecting on it and thinking, I'm coming into this meeting, that was amazing that day compared to what it was like in abstinent. Although it's just a non-abstinence, even though it was a plain and simple day, I was active. I was able to enjoy activities with my daughter. I was able to get out in the fresh air. I was able to be present for her. I was able to have a laugh with her. I was able to go and buy her food from a shop without buying anything for myself. And then I was able to walk that whole way. And then I was able to come back and do some more in my garden, because it's sunny and I wanted to get out, and it's spring over here and it's been really cold and the sun was out. So I'm sure it's a lot cooler than a lot of places in America, but even so, it's exciting over here when you get a bit of spring weather. And I just reflected on that and I thought, wow, I'm so grateful to be abstinent again. So grateful. Can I share the screen? So when I came, I'm pretty sure I can, and just put a picture up. Oh no, I don't know if I can actually. Let me have a go. Can people see that? So I don't know whether that's showing, but this was me here before abstinence, and this is me here a bit lighter than what I am now. And physically, the difference between being that heavy and how I am now is incredible. And just on how I, when I first came to Grey Sheet, my mobility was horrific. I'd been in a wheelchair. I'd had carers for about, 9 or 10 months, because I'd been very, very unwell with PEs, pulmonary embolisms, and I struggled to breathe. I struggled to be mobile. I struggled the first time I went to the London meeting. I couldn't get down the stairs. I had to go round to the lift, and the lift wouldn't work, and it was a great big palaver and really embarrassing, if I'm honest. And that was how I felt, about my weight. It was just really embarrassing, because it wasn't even so much, well, I guess some of it was that social embarrassment, and the social aspect of what people might say and whatever, but it was about how I felt about myself. And I always share this. I can remember being a few months abstinent, a few months in, and I was obviously still very, very overweight, and I felt like $1 million. I felt like $1 million. It wasn't about, I'd always thought it was about the weight beforehand, but it wasn't. It was about me being kind and loving and doing the right thing and having some, thing around abstinence, and not hurting myself every single day, abusing myself every single day by eating the way that I ate and not having a way out. My goodness, I tried everything. I tried everything. I tried medical help. I tried psychological help. I tried hypnotherapy. I tried every diet. And to be honest, a lot of diets worked for me for a long time, but in the last few years, they didn't. I tried surgery. I got surgery that ended up being reversed because I made myself so sick with bulimia that I had a band and it moved, and emergency surgery. Just, I really, I was extremely overweight, and I tried everything. It wasn't that I was a person that didn't try. It wasn't that I was a person that didn't have will. It wasn't a person that didn't turn up and really do their best, because I did, but I didn't have the solution. Me, the solution came in the form of evidence of someone else. I said this with the other fellowship that I was in as well. I met someone who I knew from another fellowship, and she ate like I ate. We sat at conventions, sober, talking about, our weight. That was all we talked about every year when we met each other at this kind of national convention, about how we're struggling and what diet we'd done and what fast we'd done. And I'd go there and she would have put on, however many pounds, and I would have put on however many pounds, or we would have had it off or whatever. And it was kind of this, and she appeared and she was glowing. And she hadn't actually lost a huge amount of weight, but she was glowing. She had that beautiful grey sheet glow that we have, when we're eating these free weighed, and measured, nutritious, delicious, abundant meals. That's the effect that it had immediately on her and immediately on me as soon as I got abstinent. And it was so attractive. She was so different. She'd lost that. I felt desperate, and she always felt desperate and would be desperately seeking a solution, but none of us were. And she'd lost that desperation. She just seemed so different. And at that point, I was in the wheelchair at this convention, and that was in the July, and it still took me till December to pick up the phone. Still, I was absolutely beaten. The thought now of me being on crutches and being in a wheelchair because of my food is, my weight. I just, I'm so far away from that, even explaining just, the simple day that I've had today. And so in the December, I didn't phone her, funnily enough, because I didn't feel I wanted to phone her for whatever reason. It was like she knew the real me. And I kind of just wanted to have a little listen about Grey Sheet. So I looked on the website and I found there was a contact in the UK that was listed, and I phoned that person. And I had my first conversation with someone from Grey Sheet. Well, apart from my friends, someone else in the UK fellowship in Grey Sheet. And she just, I'm so grateful. I remember those early calls with her. And although she gave me the telephone list, I was sort of scared to call anyone else, those first couple of days. I mean, I soon changed that because I had to change it, but I was scared. So I'd phone her, and I can remember she gave me her time. She was a really busy lady, but she gave me her time and she talked to me, probably for an hour on the first day, and then 40 minutes on the next. And and she said, she explained what we do, and she didn't go into too much detail about the food, but she asked me if I was willing to weigh and measure my next meal. Did I have scales? Was I able to do it? What food did I have in the house? And I weighed and measured my next meal, and it probably wasn't the most tastiest Grey Sheet meal I've ever had, because it was kind of limited on what I had in the house. But I did it, and I had my first abstinent meal. And I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for her time she gave me. And it did take me a little while to get abstinent. I played around with it for a while. you know, it was the first place that had ever said to me, obviously I'd heard about weighing and measuring, you know, in another food fellowship that I'd been in for 10 years but hadn't got anywhere with. And I'd heard about weighing and measuring, and I'd thought that was very controlling and quite over the top. And she told me, I remember she was telling me exactly, you know, we do it exactly like this. And again, I thought it was a bit over the top. But what it gave to me, that clarity, and, you know, I'm not explaining myself very well here. So what she said to me is we are acutely allergic, you know, to grains, starches, sugars, etc. And that we, you know, if we had 4.1 of something, it would be a relapse.
You've got 5 more.
Thank you. And somehow that just stuck with me and was really, really clear. So I went on this little bit of a relapse journey, and got really desperate, where I was trying so hard, because even the taste of abstinence, even getting a few days abstinent, you know, couple of months abstinent, I think at one point, you know, I got that taste of abstinence and I knew how wonderful it was. And sorry, that was to phone my sponsor to commit my food, which is on the meeting actually. So there you go. So yeah, I got that taste, and I knew that there was something really special about GreySheet, and that GreySheet could work for me, a compulsive eater of my type that tried everything possible in the world to get abstinent. And I knew I could never leave, and I started to take it seriously. And by that I mean I did everything that my sponsor asked me to, and yet again, I relapsed after a few weeks, even after doing everything. And I can remember being so desperate. And I spoke to someone, and they said to me, you know, the only thing that's missing, you're telling me you're doing your meetings, you're telling me you're doing this, you're telling me you're doing outreach calls, what is missing? And for me, it was that relationship with a high power. You know, was I willing, when I was sitting between food thoughts and the phone, was I willing to pick up the phone? Because that for me was my higher power's will. Because whenever I didn't pick up the phone and went on my will, I ended up eating. I really felt that powerlessness. And it's like something changed, and all of a sudden I was willing to do that. All of a sudden I was willing to listen to my gut. You know, my gut saying me it's not safe to be in this shop, or it's not safe to be here. And I started listening, and, you know, and I got some time and distance away. I got a good few wonderful years of GreySheet abstinent, where, you know, I lost the weight, I did service, I had sponsors, I did, you know, everything. And for me, you know, the biggest gift in that time was, you know, looking after my mum and caring for my mum, who did actually, you know, she passed away 3 years ago, and just being so present and you know, building relationships with my family, building, really prioritizing her time, building relationships with my children. But what happened is I stepped too far away from the fellowship, you know, and slowly everything was gone except for, you know, one sponsee. And on holiday one day, I just thought, this is too much hassle, you know, and I didn't weigh my dinner, and you know, I relapsed. And at that point I went into a horrific relapse. It took me about 18 months to get back properly, until May. Eating during COVID is horrific, I have to say. I don't know whether there are any new people on here. You know, I work for the NHS, so I'm going into clinics and whatever every day, and then I'm stopping at every single corner shop on the way home to eat, because I'd have a line, you know, on the way back from work, at which shop, which petrol station, which shop, what, you know what I mean? I'd eat and then I'd get more, and you know, I said it the other day, I'd get an online delivery and be disinfecting it and then going in 5 shops on the way to work binging. You know, if that isn't insanity, I don't know what is. And you know, so something happened on the 5th of May. I didn't wake up and go, today I'm going to be abstinent. I've been trying for however many months, but I had a sponsor that believed in me, that if I kept doing the next right thing, if I kept doing it, program, she told me, this program will get you.
1 more minute, sweetheart.
Thank you. and it did. At some point it did. It didn't happen on that day when I said, oh, I've had a horrific binge, today's the day. It happened when I just kept going and I just didn't leave, and I just put the next weighed and measured meal, on the scales. And I just try and settle me into the meeting just before I started. I thought, let me just open the big book, and I just opened the big book, and it fell on working with others. And it talks about this bit here: being a kindly act once in a while isn't enough. You have to act the good Samaritan every day if need be. I have to say, since I've come back over these 9 months, I've really thrown myself into sponsorship and like setting up a new meeting service and whatever. And for me, that is what is keeping me now solidly. It feels right, much more in the centre and much more active. And sorry, I feel I've gone a little bit all over the place. I felt quite very nervous today, actually. I'm not sure why, but just to express, my gratitude from being absent.
Time, honey.
Thank you. I see you, Phyllis, and thank you everyone for your service and being at the meeting, no matter what.